Hello, welcome. My name is Madeline. I am a sewing pattern designer and aspiring surface pattern designer. And channel is just like something I've been wanting to do for a really long time, very podcast style, very just like chit chatty and talk about like what sewing plans I have and maybe a little bit of knitting. I've gotten into knitting lately, but my businesses revolve around sewing, and I've just been looking for a creative outlet and a way to like talk about it and a little community for it. And so I thought I would just start a little podcast style YouTube where I talk about this. In this video, I'll talk about my sewing plans for spring and summer. But I'll start doing what I'm planning on is monthly videos where I talk about my things that I've finished that month. I'll talk about my current works in progress, acquisitions, any of that. I really enjoy watching podcasts or YouTube videos just like that. I find them really fun to watch, really fun to listen to while I'm doing the dishes or sewing or knitting. And so I thought that it'd be fun for me to talk about what I'm doing. This is just a little passion project that I wanted to do and just share a little bit of what I'm making and what's inspiring me, and just keep sewing really fun. So anyway, I'm really glad that you're here. If you are here, I don't know if anybody will actually watch this, but I'm just excited to talk about sewing and to talk about my sewing plans. And I hope that you enjoy being here. I'm going to fix this camera a little bit. Okay, it looks like it recorded. We are outside. I have found that recording inside, I don't get the lighting that I'm wanting. So I'm hoping like golden hour, I can get the best lighting possible on my iPhone. I one day will invest in a nicer camera, but for now, this works lovely. And I'm hoping that the mic makes the audio a little bit better, although you will probably hear some rustling leaves, and the neighborhood I live in has a lot of pools, so you will hear pool filters going off, but hopefully some birds and things like that, and it'll be nice relaxing background noises. Much more exciting than my beautiful little children who are adorable, but it might be a little bit more relaxing than hearing them play. So I'm just really excited to be here and to talk about sewing and to have somebody hopefully to like talk to sewing about, because I hope that if you're watching that you'll tell me what you're sewing and things like that in the comments, because I just really love talking about sewing. So like I said, this video today will be a little bit about like the spring and summer sewing plans that I have. A lot of them are for my business, but a lot are also just personal sewing plans. And ultimately, I only make things for my business that I would wear myself. And so it's all kind of one and all the same. But some of them will be my patterns and some of them will be other designers' patterns. And I just am really excited, if you can't tell. I tried recording this the other night, but it got a little dark too fast. So I'm going to try and not talk too long and be a little bit more organized, but we'll see. No promises there. So spring and summer, it is already feeling like summer where I live. We live in the desert, and it was 88 degrees today. And I'm currently recording this in April. So we've already been kind of experiencing spring. And so I'm hoping that by talking about spring, summer, I'm like channeling and manifesting that spring will last a little bit longer, but realistically it will probably be above 100 degrees before I know it until October. So I'm trying to plan accordingly. A few of my plans are things that I cut out for last fall and never got made, and I want to finish them first. So they may seem a little bit fall-esque, but I'm hoping that if I make them now, that I will be able to have them ready by fall this year. So I've started batch cutting, and that has been really beneficial. And so some of these, I'll let you know if I've already cut them out, because I'd consider them a whip. And then I've started to batch sew a little bit more. I find that I'm just not finding it in my daily practice to sew every day. And that's because a lot of my work revolves around being on the computer or things like that. And I don't really sew at night a lot. I know a lot of people sew at night, which would be amazing, but I have my machine set up in my daughter's bedroom. And so it doesn't really work out for me to do that unless I want to move all my machines. And usually by the end of the day, I'm ready to knit and watch a movie and go to bed. So yeah, I found for me personally that batch cutting and planning and sewing has been a better experience overall. And so I'm hoping to get at least a week of batch sewing throughout the next few months that will allow me to make a lot of these things. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's more information than you probably want, but that's kind of where I'm at. But I love being nosy about people's sewing and crafting experiences. So I'll just spill my tea, I guess. Okay, so that is on, right? I think that's working. Start by talking about tops. Tops are my favorite thing to sew. I don't know. I've always just gravitated towards making like blouses and tops, and I've just always found a lot of excitement in that. That might make me sound very millennial. I know it's like I heard somebody say that millennials will like pick a blouse first and then wear like pants after, whereas like Gen Z will make their outfit revolve around their cool pants. So I don't know how much that says about me. I already have 2 tops cut out and ready for me to sew. One of them I cut out thinking it might stay cool a little bit longer, but I do think I'll still get a lot of use for it in the summer. It's going to be called, I think it'll be called the Dale sweatshirt. I haven't checked if that hashtag is still available or not. And so don't quote me on that. It may change names, but by the way, I'm going to be explaining things and talking about things, but I will show B-roll right here throughout. So if you're wanting to see visuals, that's why I'm sitting off to the side so that you guys can see pictures, and I'll put up names and where all the fabrics are. All of that will be linked. All of that will be put up as well. And hopefully that will be good. But I'm wanting to make what I'm calling, as of right now, the Dale sweatshirt. That was my grandfather's name. So Dale sweatshirt. And I have this like dusty pink, dusty rose sweatshirting material. It's a French terry, but I like that. It's actually this fabric, but in a different color. But the loops on the back are really small. And so although it's a little bit of a heavier fabric, which I personally prefer with a knit fabric, I don't think it'll be too hot for summer, especially like at night or if we go camping or to wear with shorts, at least inside when it gets cold with like the air conditioning. So I know I'll still get use out of it. And I like the dusty pink color for spring and summer. I think it'll be really pretty. So that is next on my list, is to make that Dale sweatshirt. It's such a quick sew. I've had people request it as a sewing pattern because I've been wearing my striped version for the last few years. And I've been hesitant because I'm like, is it too simple? But I wear it all the time and I love it. So I'm making another sample based on the paper pattern that I drafted. Like, why did I do it on paper? And I'm seeing if it's ready to digitize. And so I'm just making sure everything's good. So that's like a sample that I'm making in the hopes that it may become a sewing pattern. And then the next thing that I'm really wanting to make is another sample for another pattern that's also on paper. I made this version last fall and I've really enjoyed it. I've also seen a lot of there's a lot of Facebook groups where people like ask for pattern recommendations. And I had already made this, and then I kept seeing people asking for that type of pattern over and over and over again, but having a hard time finding exactly what they were looking for. And so I was like, oh, wait, I've already drafted that. I've already created that, and eventually want to make it into a pattern, but I'm trying to see if I can expedite the process because I've seen a lot of people looking for that kind of pattern. And I also just really love it. So, of course, so I'm making it out of this black and it's not white. It's actually, once again, I'm wearing the sister version in my skirt, but I'll show you a picture in a video of this linen. It's 100% linen. It's black and like an off-white color. And it's very reminiscent of this Doan top. And so I've already made it one way with the exposed bias binding, but I think what I'm going to do, when I looked at the Doan blouse, which I don't want to like copy, but they do have the bias binding hidden on the inside, and it almost creates this like smocking effect. And then they have a lace trim. And to be honest, I just really want to have that blouse, and I just really want to see if I can recreate it. And since I already have a pattern that's so similar, I just need to shorten the sleeves a little bit. I'm just going to go for it. So I'm basically recreating that blouse. I don't know if I will turn this into a pattern, but it's definitely at the forefront of my mind of there isn't a pattern out there for it, and people are requesting it, and I already have it made. So let me know what you guys think. But anyway, that's something I'm wanting to sew for my summer. And I have what's called a Zamora skirt. If you're new to my designs, I'll explain them. But I have a tiered skirt that looks similar to a lot of the pleated skirts by Chrissy Dawn and Doan and vintage skirts. And so I think they would pair really well together. So I'd have like a little matching set for summer, a little cord. And I'm really excited about that. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use the lace trim like all around the collar, or if I'll just leave it, or if I'll do like a hand lace trim using this technique, like where you like crochet thread on there to make it look a little bit more delicate. Undecided what I'm going to do with that, but I will for sure. I'm hoping that project will be in my next podcast where we talk a little bit about my things that I've made. I'm hoping that I will have made the Dale sweatshirt and this Carol top. So Dale is my grandfather's name and Carol is my grandmother's name. So I think it'd be really sweet to have both of those patterns come out at least close together. And I just think it'd be really, really sweet. So I'd love to use those names. Yeah. So those are the two tops that I already have cut out. Those are my whips. And then other plans for summer of tops, I really want to make some Madeline tees. This is a Madeline tee. That's a riff on words for like my name's Madeline. But I wanted like a made for like me made May. I was thinking I just need like a basics line. So it's my made line. Anyway, I now like, I thought it was really clever at the time, and now I feel like it might just be confusing. But anyway, this is a Madeline tee. I can show you a better video of it, but this is sized up one and added a little bit of length, but I want to make a couple of just the originals. I already have, I think I have two in my wardrobe that are like the finalized pattern. And then I have this one that is the oversized version. And I'm considering turning this one into a graphic tee. I've been thinking about maybe adding like a tomato print, or I don't know. I have some ideas. So that may happen on my summer list of adding some fun graphics here. But I'd like to make a couple other graphics to just wear with shorts, to wear with skirts, just to have a few more basic t-shirts on hand. I may, if I have extra fabric of the pink dusty color from the Dale sweatshirt, I may make one from that. And I also have some pointelle that I've been considering making a Madeline tee with. I'm trying to decide if I will do that or not. I have a pattern that I want to design. That's just like, it's like a pointelle cardigan with like a puff sleeve. And so I have some pointelle on hand for that. I don't know if I'll get to that this summer, but those are some things that I would really like to try, but it would require me to draft a pattern. And I don't know if I'll have time for that this summer, but that's a thing on my mind. So I may or may not use some of the pointelle for Madeline tees. I think it would look better as the cardigan though. Okay. So those are some things I'm working on. And then I have two other blouses that I would like to make. I would really like one of my patterns my first pattern that I launched was called the Rada blouse. And it has this really beautiful yoke, like circular yoke with a ruffle, and there's three views, but the one I'm thinking of is what's called view B, and it would have the yoke all the way to front, buttons in the back, and then there's a short and a long sleeve option, and the sleeves have pin tucks. I love pin tucks. So I don't have a long sleeve version of that blouse. I have long sleeve versions of the dress, but I don't have the blouse, and the dress and the blouse are almost identical. The dress just has more length and it has information on adding ruffled tiers. So I really want a long sleeve version of the blouse. And although it's spring and summer, the fabric that I've picked is an Indian block print from Merchant and Mills. Oh, I just realized I didn't say where a lot of the fabrics were from. I'll link them below. So the pink French terries from Lyrical Fabrics and the black and cream gingham is from the Linen Lab. And some of them were gifted. The Linen Lab usually gifts me their fabrics. So if I don't mention that, usually I get some gifted from them. I love working with them. And if I've linked it below, anything might be an affiliate link. Just forewarning, it doesn't cost you any more. I get a kickback. But of course, never feel you have to shop my links. I just love sharing where I get things from, and I only will share things that I actually like. Anyway, so I want to make a braided blouse. This is the Merchant and Mills. This was one of those fabrics that I have saved up for a very long time. And I bought it to make a dress with. And then when it came, it also came with another shipment of fabric that I was ordering for a different project. And I ended up switching the fabrics last minute once they were like in hand. And so now I have like 6 yards of this very nice, very expensive fabric. And I think I'm actually going to use it on a braided blouse and UB. I think it'll be really pretty. And then I'll have some extra, so I'll use it on another project, and that'll be great. And then the next thing I also want to make is a Beth blouse. Hopefully, no, by the time that this is on the internet, I doubt that that will be out yet. Currently, the Beth blouse is in testing. And so I know for sure that I'll be making at least one more as I make my video tutorial. I'm undecided on the fabric for that one. I'm having the hardest time deciding what fabric to use. So I may use some of this red cotton. It's just like quilting cotton, but I really like the red. I may end up using some of that extra Merchant and Mills fabric. I may just make it out of, I have one in linen and then I have a cotton linen blend, and I want to make sure I use a lightweight fabric. But when I'm doing video tutorials, it's nice if it has a right side and a wrong side. And so I'm trying to decide which fabric, because a lot of my fabrics don't have a print on them. What do you guys think I should do? If I should go with the quilting cotton, I just think it'd be a little more stiff than I want. If I should go with a linen, if I should go with the Merchant and Mills. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm, like I said, very undecided on that. But that's kind of like my tops. So those I think are, I mean, that's a lot of sewing, but I'm planning on covering me until like October. So these are kind of, and these are loosey-goosey. Like, I understand that I have plans and I have like a cute little I have a cute little planner that I'm planning on my makes in, but when inspiration strikes, it just strikes. So I'm telling you all of this, and it may change, and it'll be fun to watch back and see what happened. But yeah, so that's it for my tops. And then as far as next thing is dresses. Historically, I haven't made as many dresses. I have the rated dress pattern, which is also a dress, but it's more pinafore. So I feel like in my brain, I don't have a dress pattern in my collection, even though I do. I have the rated dress. So my plan is to change that, though. I want to have more dresses in my collection because I feel like a lot of people get really excited to sew dresses. I think it's like an event thing. You want to make something for an event, and I want to make something for an event. So I have drafted, and hopefully this pattern will launch in the summer, what I'm calling the Delft Dress. I have two, well, actually I have 4 already made, but 2 that are with the final pattern with the lower neckline. I have one that's made out of linen waffle weave. So it like scrunches up and it's waffly. It's so pretty. And then I have one out of a cotton poplin. And then I'm going to make another one for the video tutorial as well. And I think I actually am going to make it out of this quilting cotton. My mom, because Joann's is closing here in the United States, she went and bought a few bolts of this adorable like woodland themed fabric to make all of her granddaughter's dresses. And it's the sweetest thing ever, but she had an extra bolt. And traditionally, I don't love sewing with quilting cotton, but my little girls they would have the dress, and it's similar enough to the Delft dress that I think it might be kind of fun. I'm not sure how I feel about like mommy and matching me moments, but I think I might just do it anyways because I think it would look really cute on this dress. So I'm thinking that I will make the Delft dress out of this quilting cotton, and I think it will give it that nice structure and be really pretty. And then, oh, I forgot to mention, as far as things that are already cut out, I do have a whip cut out for my rated dress because, like I said, I feel like I don't give it enough love because it was kind of one of those, like, I designed it as a blouse and then also released it as a dress. But I want to give it a little bit more screen time. I want to give it a little bit more love. I want to wear it more often. The samples that I made when I launched it are beautiful, but they were all made out of thrifted fabrics, and because that was just all I could afford. And although they're beautiful, they're all quilting cotton. And so I'm really wanting to make a rated dress for myself that is in the fabric that I picked and all of that. So I have a cotton voile from Lyrical Fabrics that I bought a few years ago, and I just haven't gotten to making it because it hasn't been a priority. So because the pattern's already launched. And so I'm really wanting to make that rated dress. I think although it's more fall colors, I'll still wear it in the summer because it's so lightweight and it will kind of protect me from the sun. So I'm going to make the view C with the like sheared detail on the yoke. And instead of doing the actual shearing method that is recommended in the pattern, which is actually just gathering the stitches, I'm going to use shearing thread. I tried this once on one of my samples when I was developing the pattern, but I was doing it on a mid-weight linen and my shearing elastic, like the elastic thread, just wasn't strong enough. And so I'm wanting to test it out, and I'll possibly record the process to see how it goes because I think that would make making view C a lot more fun. And so I'm thinking that the cotton voile that I picked up, that it'll work really well. So I'm excited to see that. I'm going to do it without a collar, and I think I'm going to do a sleeve hack where I do shirring on the cuffs instead of the pin tucks. I think that will be really pretty. Okay, and then I have a few hacks that I'm wanting to do. So that rated dress, and then I want to do a hack of my Rosamund blouse, which is a blouse that has a sailor collar. Actually, I call it a sailor collar half the time, but I got corrected. Told that it's not a sailor collar, it's actually a pilgrim collar, which I didn't realize. So I apologize for having put sailor collar. But pilgrim collar and a square neck, and then it has buttons down the front. And I actually recently did a blouse hack for that. And I ended up adding ruffles to the collar and like bows going down the front and a peplum. And I love it so much. So I'm wanting to do some more hacks with that because it's been really fun and just really creative. And once again, if I do a hack, I'm thinking I'll make a video tutorial on my other channel. That channel is all just for tutorials and things like that to do with my patterns. But I'm wanting to create like a sailor dress. And I want to do a pleated skirt. So basically you just make the whole blouse and then add a pleated skirt. Anyway, I have some really gorgeous, I have 2 blue linens from the Linen Lab that I have considered using. I'm not sure if that makes it too sailor-ish or maybe a white linen. I don't know. That one's undecided. Another thing I want to make is what I'm calling the Terry trapeze. My mom's name is Terry. Can you tell I'm like using family names this time? Which is a dress that I designed 2 years ago and have not had the time to draft. I wanted to launch it this summer. It's looking like I probably won't by now, but at the very minimum, I want to make myself a sample so that I can wear it throughout the summer and decide if I will move forward with it, because I could have it in my head a perfect way and then it may not come out that way. But I bought this viral fabric from Joann before it got sold out. And it's actually a viscose, which I normally don't love sewing with and I don't love buying, but because Joann's was closing, I kind of made an exception for myself and I bought it. And I think it's so fun. It just feels like a summer holiday. And I think it would look really fun with the cherry trapeze. That is what I'm calling it as of right now. Once again, that name could change. So I'm really excited to make that dress and just get it out of my head and like out of the computer and onto fabric. Yeah. I also want to make a white version of it. So I'm not sure which will come first. A white one with like a big dark green bow, or I don't know what color of bow, but some other fabric. But it's going to have all this elastic around the waist, like a thick elastic, and then be just big. and trapeze, like flowy and fun. So I'm excited about that. And then another dress that I really want to make is I really want to make the garden dress by Fruch's Studio. When she launched this pattern, I was like, this is right up my alley. I love pin tucks. 2 of my patterns have pin tucks. And I just think it would work so beautifully in my wardrobe. I'm trying to decide if I would make the blouse that she has she has like a blog post for a hack with like the lower neckline and the ruffle. I really, really like that. Or if I want to make the V-neck with the longer, like the sleeves that come down by your elbow. I already have a dress by Vivian Chow Chen called the Orchards dress, which I love. I love this photo. I don't love wearing the dress because in real life, I kind of look like a creamsicle. And I've kind of decided that coral and like orangey colors just don't look great on me. But the sleeves are to die for. And I think that the Fruch Studio dress has a similar sleeve, but it also has the pin tucks across the front that I just think are so pretty. So I'm really wanting to do that. And it will be an involved make. I'll have to sew for myself and not just for work, but it will be like a little gift to myself. And I'm really wanting to make it. So I'm not sure what I'll use. I have like 15 yards of white linen that I bought in bulk at one point from the Linen Lab. They were doing like a liquidation sale. So I got $5 a yard linen. It was amazing. They actually do like gift boxes. Sorry, this is kind of a plug for them. But they do like these gift boxes every like week or two of just like their remnants. And you can get fabric for so cheap. And that's basically what I did. So now I have 15 yards of white linen. So I think that could be really great for the Fruch Studio thing. But I also think that something light and airy would be beautiful. So I just use my Merchant and Mills fabric on it? I don't know. Okay, now I'm second guessing everything. But I do think a lightweight cotton would be really pretty. So that is also on my list of like, I really want to make that for myself. And I just need to convince myself that it's okay to sew something just for myself and not just for work. Okay. Like everything is actually for me, but you know, it's also for work. So silly problems anyway. Then so we've talked about tops and dresses, and I want to talk about skirts. So I do have one already cut out, and it is a Zamora skirt. Sorry, my pencil. I noticed when I was recording the other night that my hands were doing a lot. So now I've got one hand down and I'm touching my pencil. But I want to make another Zamora skirt. I have 2 Zamora skirts in my closet. One was my first sample, and then the second was like my finalized sample. The pencil fell, so now we're good. The white sample was made out of a thrifted vintage bedsheet. And when I say vintage and fancy, I mean like it had a family crest embroidered on it at the bottom. Anyway, I got it for $5 and it has done me so good. But that sample never was like fully perfect because it was my first sample. I use it for the product photos and I love it. But I think that the actual final pattern is just like slightly longer and has slightly more ease. You can't really notice, but it's bothered me and it's gotten a big hole in it that I can't mend any more than I have. I've tried mending it multiple times because I love that skirt so much. But I think I finally have to retire it. So I'm going to make a new white Zamora skirt. And I also want to make a black cotton lawn Zamora skirt because I am knitting. I'm getting off track here, but I'm knitting a yellow cardigan, the Maggie cardigan by Petite Knit this summer. And I thought that when I saw this black floral fabric from Blackbird Fabrics that they would just make the cutest outfit. So I am making a new Zamora skirt. And part of how I'm like, I don't need to justify sewing things, but here I am justifying sewing things, that I want to make a tutorial for adding pockets to the Zamora skirt. It was something I didn't add to the pattern originally because the fabrics I was using, I felt like you could see the pockets and it looked silly. But I think with the black, it would be opaque enough that it would look just fine to have the pockets in there. I personally don't actually think I would like pockets in the Zamora skirt because I just don't like how pockets sometimes get in the way if it's not the right shape of a skirt. But I've had a lot of requests from people to do that. So I think I'm going to do a video tutorial on my other channel talking about how to insert inseam pockets, and I'll do it as an example on this Zamora skirt. So that's on my list. It's already been cut out, and I will hopefully cast on that petite knit Maggie cardigan soon, because I am dreaming about butter yellow this like right now, just like everybody else, but I'm obsessed with it. And yeah, so I think that'll be really cute. And then another skirt that I want to make is I want to make another plain Jane by Neighborhood Patterns. My friend Nat has the cutest patterns. She has a few. She has the the neighborhood tote. Oh my gosh. I'll put it up on the screen because I feel like I'm saying that wrong. And then she has the plain Jane, which is the skirt of the summer. Like, it is the perfect it girl skirt. And it's so classic. It's not rectangles. It's like this perfect A-line. She drafted it so well across all the size ranges with French seam inseam pockets. I made mine last year and I lengthened it just a little bit. And I also widened I widened the facing. And I love how it turned out. So I want to make another one. I have this really pretty cotton twill that I might use, or this poplin. So I'm not decided on which fabric I'm going to use yet, but I know I want like a reddish one. And I may even make a linen blue one because I have a lot of blue linen. So those are the skirts I'm going to make. Lots more Zamora skirts because this is my third or fourth summer wearing Zamora skirts, and I could see myself wearing them for the rest of my life. The last two, but they're like kind of combined. Sorry, I keep touching my hair so much because where I live is the driest place on the planet. So it like statics to my face. Okay, bottoms. So as far as bottoms go, I will be making a bottoms pattern this year. And it's not drafted up yet, but my plan is to release it in the fall. I have everything in the works for it, but it's a paper bag pant pattern. I'm calling the paper pants. So I will be making many samples of that this summer. I'll share more when I have more info to share, but that's like at the top of my list of things I need to get done soon. And then last year I released, like I said, my maid line with the pants and the shorts. And because it's so hot here, I plan on just making a bunch of linen pants and shorts. I would really like to make the Rudy Jude pillowcase pants. I've seen a ton of people making them on their own, and my maid line pants pattern is like the perfect base for it. So I might make a tutorial on that as well, but I really want to make a pair of that in poplin. It's telling me that I'm low on battery. So I really want to make that in some cotton poplin. I have I can't remember if I have brown or green. I have some extra fabric for that. And then I also think it'd be cute in white. I'm not sure which one to go, but I don't have any white poplin. I just have white linen. But either way, that's kind of the plan. And then I want to make a pair of shorts. I saw these shorts at the store the other day with these scalloped bottoms. And last year I made some maid line shorts with no pockets. And they had like a ruffle with a scallop. And I love them. They're really cute. They're a little short when I sit down. And I have 3 children. So I want to lengthen them just a little bit because I don't want to, just worry when I'm sitting on the ground and like hanging out with my kids at like a play date or wherever. So I'm probably going to lengthen them a little bit and just do the scalloped hem. And so that is going to be made out of some gingham checked fabric that I have also from the Linen Lab. It has a little bit of nylon in it, like just a smidge, and it just creates like the seersucker effect. It's really fun. So I love that fabric, and I think it'd look really cute with this Beth Blouse sample that I made. It's not a final rendition of the pattern, but they would be the same fabric, and it'd be a really fun summer cord. And then something that is a whip. I cut this out, like I said, for the fall, and that was not relaxing. Thank you, motorcyclist. But something that I cut out for the fall was a pair of Jordan trousers. So I have a pattern called the Jordan overalls. And although I love it very much, I've noticed that the sales have decreased for it recently. And I think it's just because it's not maybe really as in style. And so I want to make another sample of the trousers, and I've considered releasing it just as a trouser pattern because the trousers are amazing. And so I'm wanting to make a product sample for that to decide if I should make it a separate pattern or if I should just leave it as is. But that is one of the views. You can just make the trousers, and they're so comfy, and I think they're really classy, and they would look really great with blouses. The pattern was intended for heavyweight fabrics like wool. And so I'm making it out of a wool linen blend from the Linen Lab. And I love wool and I love linen, and having them in a blend might be one of my favorite combinations ever. It is so cool. It has the drape of linen, but then the texture of wool, but it doesn't scratch. I don't know. It's magic. So I love that. So that will be something I make, and then it may sit in my closet until it's cold enough to wear them again. But I'm excited to make them nonetheless. Okay, and then the last thing I want to make this summer is I really want to make the Rebel jumpsuit by Daughter Judy Patterns. When she released this pattern, I was flabbergasted. I was so in love. I love the shaping of the yoke. It reminds me of my Rita blouse. I love the voluminous details. I love that she used poplin, so it was like crisp and big and fun. So I have this dark red poplin that I bought from Blackbird Fabrics. And yeah, that will once again just be like a fun sew for me. I'm really excited to sew that. I have I made a little make 9 for myself, and the Fruit Studio garden dress and the Rebel jumpsuit were like at the top of my list. So I'm really hoping that I will have time to make that, because I just think it's so cool. And I think I would feel really, really cool at the playgrounds with the other moms wearing the Rebel jumpsuit. So that has to happen, I feel like. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm planning on. I have really, sorry, I need to wipe my nose. The mosquitoes are coming out. Maybe filming outside is not the best idea. But I'm really excited about these summer plans. The fabrics that I've picked, I'm really grateful that some of them have been gifted, because it just hasn't been in my budget for a really long time to buy these fabrics. And I finally feel like I'm sewing with the fabrics that I love, in the colors that I love, and in the patterns that I love. And I'm just really excited to like hone in my summer wardrobe, because it is hot for so many months of the year. So anyway, I'm just feeling really excited about that. And then if you're only interested in sewing, I won't be offended if you leave, but I did want to talk just a teeny bit about my knitting plans, and future acquisitions and things like that. So I am currently knitting the Cumulus Tee by Petite Knit. I've only ever used her patterns. I just started to learn how to knit, and it has been glorious. Every night I just get to work on something, and it's not work related, and I'm learning a new skill. It's giving me a lot of empathy and compassion for people learning how to sew, because it's been a long time since I learned how to sew. It's definitely changed a lot of my perspective on how to write instructions and what resources to provide for people buying my patterns. And those are some things that I'll share more about later, because they're still in development and still being decided on. But I've really loved how to knit. I finished my first sweater last week, and I made the novice sweater. And I'm just sticking with Petite Knit at the moment, because I know that it worked and it made sense to me. So I'm kind of going up in her ranking system of like levels, and then I will branch out. But yeah, so I'm making the Cumulus Tee, which I think will be perfect for summer. I'm making it in a cotton merino blend from Knitting for Olive in the color Putty. It did come a little bit lighter than I was anticipating, so I was hoping it would be a little bit more of like a darker mauve color, and it's definitely more of like a dusty skin tone color. So I'm hoping I don't look naked when I'm wearing it. Kind of like this shirt is a little close to my skin tone, a little closer than I was anticipating. So I hope that I will like that, because it's going to take a long time, because it's like really, really thin yarn. So that's on my list. And then the next thing I'm wanting to knit, which I would have knit first, but it's like that much harder because it's a cardigan and I've never knit that before. I literally picked up knitting needles like to knit for the first time in December. So trying to not outrank myself, but also still trying to be skill building and confident in trying new things. So I'm going to make the Maggie cardigan in like a butter yellow color. I did get the yarn once again from Knitting for Olive in the dusty banana color, and it's a little more dusty than I thought it would be. I was hoping it'd be a little bit more buttery. And so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to add or buy some mohair in a slightly warmer yellow from another shop. I did see Those Twins Who Knit. I love their knitting podcast. Part of what inspired me doing just this format of talking podcasts, because I love their YouTube podcast. But I think it was Jessica. She got this like butter yellow color called Moonstone by Sandiness Garn. And I may swip out my mohair for that color to get the color that I'm looking for to match with my Zamora skirt. So that's next on my list. So once I finish the Cumulus tee, I will be making the Maggie cardigan by Petite Knit. And I think that that will be like the perfect rounding of my summer wardrobe. This style of just like sitting and talking about my sewing plans. I'll probably do sewing plans twice a year. And then every month I'll talk about what I have sewn and whips and then acquisitions. So I'll leave links for everything I can as much as possible, but thank you for being here. And I hope that this is fun and enjoyable. I would love to hear about what you're making. Recommend patterns to me. I love hearing about other designers' patterns too, because sometimes I'm in my own little world and it's always exciting when I pay attention to other patterns and make them. So thank you for being here, and I hope that you have a good and restful day.